There's no intentional grounding, by the way, here at the Nflpa collegiate bowl. The quarterback wants to get rid of it without losing yards. Totally fine with that. So we'll bring up a 3rd and 9 now. There's pressure there. And this is a name you want to pay attention to out of Jackson State, James Houston.
And one of the best players in this game, and one of the best players playing at HBCU. And in fact, Wade Phillips and you guys talked about him being special, disrupted the entire week. He has big-time ability. When I looked at him and I watched him play at Jackson State, he had 14 and a half sacks during the regular season. And in fact, he reminds me a lot of HBCU legend Robert Mathis, who played for a long time in the Nflpa.
Today's show is brought to you by Booked and Busy Talent. Booked and Busy Talent is a full talent agency that doesn't chase deals, they create deals. Clients receive counsel from strategic management consultants who have worked at Google for former President Barack Obama and in the healthcare industry. Their cross-industry business knowledge has helped them secure groundbreaking deals for their clients, such as first-team All-SEC gymnast Darian Goburn, the undisputed queen of the four, and Jackson State University two-sport human highlight reel Malachi Wyman. What are you waiting for? Get booked and busy today by contacting them at bookedandbusytalent@gmail.com to set up a future client consultation to get your NIL deals rolling. What's good, everyone? This is RawTruth Media, giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. Peace and blessings, peace and love to everyone. Now, on this topic here, we're going to talk about the two Jackson State players. Now, for Kill Glass and Marquise Bell, those will be separate videos. But on this one, I'm going to talk about James Houston and CJ Holmes. You heard Bucky Brooks. Bucky Brooks is one of the most respected talent evaluators in the NFL and does an amazing job in the NFL Network in assessing talent, not just for the big schools, but also players that come from smaller schools. James Houston, again, was unblockable. They couldn't do anything against him. They tried to chip, they tried to do everything. They even double-teamed James Houston. Who does that at an all-star event, a collegiate all-star event? Who does that? That only made James Houston stock go even higher. And I'll say this right now, if James Houston is not within that top 3 round range, something is wrong. Something is wrong. He was a menace. And Bucky Brooks compared him to Robert Mathis, a former HBCU player. And that's the best type of compliment you can get. So for the teams that were watching James Houston not only showed that he can pass rush, but he did a good job in coverage. He covered the tight end really well. One thing you can learn from James Houston, if you're a young athlete, is the ability to be coachable and to never complain. When James Houston transferred from Florida to Jackson State, he went from inside linebacker to edge rusher because JSU needed someone in that position that could be balanced. James Houston didn't complain. He didn't use his SEC pedigree to try to sway his position. He remained coachable, and it started to pay off. Now, James Houston is a player. You saw it at the Senior Bowl. You can line him up anywhere. He can cover. There was people hitting me up saying, I didn't know that James Houston could cover. I knew it. He did it at Florida. and he could play the outside linebacker, and he can play the edge rusher. He could do anything the coach asked him to do. And his stock is going up because of it. I also like that James Houston wore the Jackson State helmet. You know, some players who come from FBS schools going to HBCUs and they go to these showcases, they will wear their Power 5 helmet instead of the HBCU helmet because they think that, well, if I wear LSU, Alabama, you know, those type of schools, Ohio State helmet, maybe they'll take me seriously. Whereas James Houston was like, no, I'm going to represent for my people in my school. And James Houston, you could look at his Twitter, he loves Florida. And he respected the time he was there. There was nothing against Florida. And if James Houston wore a Florida helmet, that's more understandable because he contributed with that team. But for players who didn't contribute from a previous school, right? But they contribute at a HBCU and just wear the FBS helmet, that never made sense for me. But shout out to James Houston for knowing what time it is and supporting. And I was just proud, man. I've never even went to JSU, but I was proud that he did that. And if you're a JSU fan, you should be happy. You should be just ecstatic how he represented. That means a lot. Now to CJ Holmes. CJ Holmes has to be the most improved player in the Nflpa. If you watch his film, and if you watch the film of the Jackson State defense, if you ask someone who was the top 2 players in coverage, it was DeJohn Nugget Warren and Al Young. If you ask anybody, go and ask Shaq Davis from South Carolina State. He went on my boy, the CFL podcast. Shout out to him. Subscribe to his channel. And he mentioned that. That's why when CJ Holmes, who's a good brother, and I'm so happy he was invited because he just seems like he's an upstanding young man. Everyone thought that the 2 Nflpa invitees we already know James Houston, but we thought that Keontae Hampton was going to be the second one, but it was CJ Holmes. But I don't know who CJ Holmes worked with before this Nflpa Senior Bowl, but kudos to them because CJ Holmes drastically improved. If you watch what I watch, CJ Holmes impressed a lot. If he gets drafted, I would not be surprised. You heard it first. Jackson State may have 2 to 3 players drafted. CJ Holmes was a smart player on that field yesterday. He was coachable. He played the nickel. He played outside. Good range, good speed. He looks like he's going to test well. And this is what happens when you go to Jackson State. You're trained by NFL coaches. You're prepared for this. When those 2 players walked on that field, they weren't nervous. You didn't see any nerves. They were ready to go. But CJ Holmes really impressed me. His change of direction, his hips, his footwork. Man, I'm telling you, he did a 180. He really worked for this. And I'm happy for him. And I'm happy for his family. He deserves it. This is what it's all about. Not only leveling the playing field, but exceeding the playing field. Not beg for the seat at the table, but get at the seat of the table and wreck shop. This is what it's all about. So this is a moment to be proud. Jackson State fans, let no one take your joy. Because when you guys were losing and everybody was kikiing and laughing, it was all cool. Now that you're winning, on and off the field, Now you seeing hating. And it comes with the territory. The only thing I can say, embrace the hate, because it means you're doing something well. When people are praying that you lose, that means you're at a success level that their favorite schools are not. This is DJ's Raw and Cut Truth, aka RawTruth Media.